The notification lit up my phone at 2:47 in the morning. For a few seconds, I did not move. The room was dark except for the blue glow from my laptop and the neat stack of papers spread across my desk. On one side were quarterly reports, investor notes, and a final IPO checklist. On the other side was my phone, buzzing like it knew something ugly had just entered the room. Jessica had tagged me on Facebook. My sister never tagged me unless she wanted an audience. I opened it. The photo loaded slowly, then sharpened into something cruel. It was me standing at the bus stop outside our mother's house after Sunday dinner. My laptop bag hung from one shoulder. My coat was wrinkled from the long day. The streetlight made my face look tired and older than I felt. Jessica had taken the picture from inside her car. I could tell by the angle. Below it, she had written, "Some people take buses their whole lives. My sister Sarah is 34 and still riding public transportation everywhere. Maybe it's time to accept your financial reality instead of pretending you're building something big. #family love #real talk." I read it once. Then again. The words were dressed like concern, but the knife was still sharp. I sat back in my chair and looked around my office. A mahogany desk. 3 screens. A signed letter from Goldman Sachs. A folder marked confidential. Across the top page were the words Williams Aviation Services, final market briefing. Jessica had posted that picture because she believed it was proof. Proof that I had failed. Proof that my transportation job was small. Proof that I was the sister who never quite grew up, never quite made it, never quite learned to stay in her place. My phone buzzed again. Then again. The comments were already coming in. At least she's saving money. Some people need a reality check. Jessica is brave for saying this. Bus people stay bus people. That last one made me pause. Not because it hurt the most. Because it was so small. So sure. So easy for someone to type while knowing nothing. A message from my cousin Mark appeared next. Harsh but fair. Then Uncle Robert sent the post into the family group chat. Jessica has a point. Hard truth. Even Aunt Linda, who always pretended to be kind, clicked the little thumbs up button. I placed the phone face down. Not because I was ashamed. Because I had work to finish. On the screen in front of me, a banker's note showed the projected opening price for our stock. On another screen, a calendar reminder blinked. Opening bell, 9:30 a.m. For 18 months, I had protected this day. For 9 years, I had protected the company. And for most of my adult life, I had protected myself from the people who believed they already knew my limits. Jessica just did not know she had chosen the worst morning in the world to call me a failure. By 6 in the morning, the post had spread through half the family and enough strangers to make Jessica feel powerful. I was making coffee when my phone rang. Her name filled the screen. I let it ring twice before answering. "Did you see my post?" Jessica asked. No hello. No hesitation. Just that bright little tone she used when she thought she had won. "I saw it," I said. The coffee machine hissed behind me. "Good," she said. "I know it probably feels embarrassing, but someone needed to say it." I looked at the folder on my desk. Final valuation range. Media schedule. Founder ownership stake. Needed to say what? I asked. "That you can't keep pretending, Sarah." She sighed like this was painful for her. Like hurting me was some heavy duty she had bravely accepted. You're 34. You take the bus. You live in that little apartment. You say you're building something, but nobody ever sees anything. That bothers you? It worries me, she said quickly. There's a difference. There was not. Jessica had always known how to wrap pride in soft words. When we were younger, she called it advice. When we were adults, she called it honesty. When people laughed, she called it family. You know, she continued, there's nothing wrong with accepting a normal life. Not everyone is meant to be successful. Some people work regular jobs. Some people ride buses. That's okay. I opened the financial schedule and checked the time. 3.5 hours until the company went public. You're probably right, I said. The line went quiet for half a second. She had expected anger. Maybe tears. Maybe begging her to delete the post. My calmness irritated her more than any insult could have. I am right, she said, her voice tightening. You've wasted years acting like some big businesswoman. Mom worries about you. We all do. We all? The family, she said. People talk. They always have. That's because you don't listen. Her voice softened again, fake and smooth. Look, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm helping you. Public accountability can be healthy. Sometimes people need the truth from their community. I almost smiled. Public accountability. That was what she called it. Not humiliation. Not cruelty. Not a sister turning a tired photo into a warning label. Just accountability. That post is getting attention, I said. Oh, it is. Pride slipped into her voice before she could hide it. A lot of people relate. Everyone knows someone who refuses to face reality. And what is my reality, Jessica? She answered too quickly. You're someone who rides the bus. I looked out the window of my apartment. The city was still dark. Somewhere below, an actual bus sighed at the corner, its brakes whispering in the cold morning street. Jessica continued, you work in transportation, but you're not some CEO. You live small. You should stop acting like one day everyone's going to be shocked by who you become. I held the phone in one hand and picked up the banker's briefing with the other. At the top, my name was printed in bold. Sarah Williams, Founder and Chief Executive Officer. I'll think about that, I said. Jessica gave a relieved laugh, as if she had healed me. Good. I'm glad you're finally listening. After she hung up, I stood there in the quiet kitchen for a long moment. Then I went back to my office and took a screenshot of her post. Not for revenge. For the record. I had learned early that my family had a strange relationship with success. If you struggled, they watched. If you failed, they discussed it. If you began to rise, they either demanded a piece of it or tried to explain why it did not count. When I started Williams Aviation Services, nobody took it seriously. It began with one used helicopter, a loan that kept me awake at night, and a tiny office that smelled like old carpet and machine oil. I handled dispatch calls myself. I cleaned the office myself. I slept under my desk more than once because I could not afford to waste time driving home. Back then, the struggle was real. There were months when I counted every dollar. There were repairs I could barely cover. There were contracts I lost because bigger companies laughed before they even heard my pitch. I did not tell my family much because I knew what they would do with it. Jessica would ask why I did not get a stable job. Uncle Robert would offer advice he had never earned. Cousin Mark would joke that I was playing airline with borrowed money. And Mom, though she loved me, would worry out loud until her worry became another weight on my back. So I kept the company small in their minds. Even when it grew. First came medical transport contracts. Then emergency services. Then private executive flights. Then cargo routes. Then tourism partnerships across several states. By the time my family still thought I worked some transportation job, I had offices in 12 cities and more than 100 aircraft under our operations network. But I still lived in my downtown apartment. I still wore simple clothes to family dinners. And when I visited Mom's house, I still walked to the bus stop afterward. Not because I had no other choice. Because it was peaceful. Because it let me work. Because every time Jessica saw me there, she saw what she wanted to see, and I learned something important about her. People reveal themselves when they think you have nothing. That Sunday night, I had seen Jessica's car in the driveway before dinner. I had felt her watching me when I left. So I did what I always did. I hugged Mom. I said goodnight. I walked 3 blocks to the bus stop with my laptop bag on my shoulder while my driver waited around the corner. I did not know Jessica would post the picture. But I knew she might. And I knew that if she did, the truth would not protect her. It would expose her. At 7:23 a.m., the next call came. This time, it was not family. "Ms. Williams," said David Chen from the IPO team, his voice clean and awake. "We're confirming final details before market open." "Everything is ready on my side," I said. "Media release is still set with Forbes?" "Yes." CNBC at 10:15. Wall Street Journal at 11. Bloomberg requested a short quote after trading begins. "Keep it tight," I said. "No personal drama. Focus on the company." A small pause. "Understood," he said. "Though I should tell you, the early investor response is stronger than expected. Demand is running high." "How high?" "Very high." I looked at my phone. It buzzed again with another Facebook comment. Someone had written, she needed to hear this. Dreams don't pay rent. I glanced back at the IPO brief. "No changes," I said. "We open as planned." David cleared his throat. "Ms. Williams, are you all right?" Most founders are nervous on IPO morning. I looked at Jessica's post again. My tired face under the streetlight. The caption about accepting my reality. The strangers laughing beneath it. "I'm fine," I said. "I've been ready for this morning for a long time." By 8, the post had become exactly what Jessica wanted. A little public trial with me as the accused. Family friends shared it. Old classmates appeared in the comments. People who had not spoken to me in years suddenly had opinions about my character, my choices, my delusion. My assistant, Elise, texted me a few minutes later. "Producers are already calling. Full visibility?" I typed back, "Full visibility." Then I stood in front of my closet. For family dinners, I owned plain sweaters, old coats, quiet shoes. For this day, I owned one navy suit that had never been worn near my family. It fit differently. Not loud. Not flashy. Just exact. The kind of suit that did not ask for attention because it already had authority. I dressed slowly. Pinned my hair back. Picked up the folder from my desk. Before leaving, I looked once more at the photo Jessica had posted. In it, I looked tired. That part was true. Building something in silence had taken years from my face. But she had mistaken tired for beaten. That was her first mistake. The second was thinking the bus stop was the end of my story. At 8:45 a.m., I arrived at the financial district. The conference room was already alive. Bankers moved between screens. Lawyers checked final language. Media staff watched headlines queue up in private dashboards. On the main display, our ticker waited in stillness. Wavy. 4 letters. 9 years of my life. The lead banker, Sarah Chin, looked up as I entered. "Good morning," she said. "Institutional demand is above forecast. If this holds, we may open well over the expected range." I nodded and sat at the head of the table. My personal phone kept buzzing, but I left it face down. For the next 20 minutes, I listened to numbers that could change my life and thought about the bus stop outside Mom's house. That cracked bench. That yellow street light. Jessica's car idling across the street. The world often decides who you are from the smallest window. A tired face. A cheap coat. A bus route. A quiet apartment. They never ask what you are carrying. At 9:12, Elise leaned beside me. "Your sister's post is moving fast," she said softly. "But the tone is starting to shift." I picked up the phone. The first new comment made my fingers go still. Wait. Williams Aviation? Is this Sarah Williams? Another one appeared below it. "Jessica, check Forbes this morning. I think this is your sister." Then Mark, the same cousin who had sent harsh but fair, wrote. "Jessica, delete this. Now." But Jessica had not deleted it. Her last response was a smiling heart under a comment praising her for being honest. At 9:25, the room changed. Every banker seemed to lean closer to the screens. A lawyer stopped mid-sentence. Someone whispered, "Forbes is loading." My phone began ringing again. Mom. Then Jessica. Then Mom again. I did not answer. On the large screen, the first headline appeared 1 minute early. Transportation empire founder set to become billionaire as Williams Aviation goes public. Below the headline was my photograph. Not the bus stop photo. Not the tired woman under a street light. A clean professional headshot of me standing beside one of our aircraft, wearing the same navy suit, eyes steady, name printed under the image. Sarah Williams, 34, founder and CEO of Williams Aviation Services. The room around me clapped, but I barely heard it. Because my phone was still lighting up. Jessica. 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 Then a message from her appeared. Only 3 words. "Sarah, what's happening?" On the screen, the market clock moved toward 9:30. The bell was about to ring. And the post my sister had made to prove I was nothing was still sitting online, filling with strangers who were finally beginning to understand exactly who she had tried to shame. At 9:30, the bell rang. The room did not explode the way people imagine money rooms explode. There was no wild shouting, no champagne, no one throwing papers in the air. Just a sudden silence. Every screen refreshed. Wavy opened above the expected price. Then it climbed. A banker near the window whispered, 52. Another said, 56. Sarah Chin stood beside the main screen with her hand over her mouth, watching the number move again. By 9:45, Williams Aviation Services was worth more than almost anyone in that room had dared to predict. Then Sarah Chin turned to me and held out her hand. "Congratulations," she said. "You're officially a billionaire." People clapped. Phones buzzed. News anchors on muted screens moved their hands while my face appeared behind them. A headline rolled beneath one of the broadcasts. "The CEO who took the bus." I looked at those words and felt something strange. Not joy. Not shock. Relief. For years, I had lived between two versions of myself. The one my company knew. And the one my family kept small because it made them comfortable. Now those two lives had touched. And the smaller one had shattered. Elise placed my personal phone beside me. "You have over 300 missed calls," she said. "Your sister has called 31 times. I looked down. Jessica's name filled the screen again. Then Mom's. Then Uncle Robert. Then a cousin I had not heard from in 5 years. Everyone had discovered me at once. I answered Mom. She spoke before I could say hello. "Sarah?" Her voice shook so badly that my chest tightened. "It's me, Mom." "Is it true?" she asked. "The news. The company. The money. Is that really you?" "It's true." For a moment, all I heard was her breathing. "But you take the bus," she said. I closed my eyes. Not because I was angry. Because that sentence held everything. All the years of being watched but never seen. "I know. You live in that apartment. It's close to the office. You said you worked in transportation." "I do," I said gently. "I own the company." Another long pause. On the screen across the room, my stock kept climbing. Mom's voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Jessica's post." I said nothing. "Oh, Sarah." Her voice broke. "Everyone saw it." "I know." She didn't know. She didn't ask. That truth sat between us. Mom did not defend her after that. She only breathed in, slowly, like something inside her was sinking. "I liked that post," she said. "I saw." "I thought," she stopped. "I don't even know what I thought. I think I let people talk about you because it was easier than asking questions." I looked at the conference table in front of me. My name was printed on folders, press notes, share allocations, legal statements. Proof everywhere. But the proof I had needed most had never been a document. It had been one person in my family looking at me and saying, "Tell me what you're building." No one had. "I'll come by tonight," I said. "Jessica is locked in her room," Mom whispered. "Reporters called the house. Her friends are sending her screenshots. People are calling her cruel. She keeps saying she ruined everything. She made a choice." "I know." That was the first time Mom said it plainly. Not "she meant well." Not "that's just Jessica." Not "don't make it worse." Just the truth. She made a choice. After the call, I sat still for a few seconds while the room moved around me. Elise leaned closer. "CNBC is ready in 10. I nodded. "Keep it about the company." She gave me a careful look. "They're going to ask about the post. Then I'll answer without feeding it." The interview happened in a glass-walled room overlooking the city. A small camera faced me. A producer counted down with his fingers. The anchor smiled the polished smile of someone who had smelled a story bigger than the stock price. "Sarah Williams," she said, "today your company became one of the biggest transportation market stories of the year. But there's another reason people are talking. Your sister posted a photo of you at a bus stop, suggesting you had failed financially. Hours later, the world learned you're the founder of a billion-dollar aviation company. How do you respond to that?" I folded my hands. For a second, I saw Jessica's photo again. My tired shoulders. The ugly caption. The comment that said "bus people stay bus people." Then I looked into the camera. "I think people confuse display with success," I said. "A bus stop tells you where someone is standing. It does not tell you what they have built." The anchor blinked, then leaned forward. "So you were not hiding because you were ashamed?" "No," I said. "I was quiet because I was busy." That clip went everywhere. By noon, Jessica's post had turned against her completely. The comments that once mocked me were buried under new ones. "Imagine calling your billionaire sister broke. This is why you don't judge people. She built an empire while they laughed at a bus photo." Cousin Mark deleted his harsh but fair comment and replaced it with, "Always knew Sarah was smart." Uncle Robert wrote a long message in the family group chat about how proud he had always been. Aunt Linda asked if my company was hiring. I read their messages between interviews and felt no surprise. Only clarity. They had not changed. The information had. By market close, Williams Aviation had beaten every early prediction. The financial channels called it a historic debut. Our employee chat flooded with celebration. Pilots sent pictures from hangars. Dispatch teams cheered beside computer screens. A hospital partner sent a message saying our aircraft had helped move a newborn to emergency care that morning. That message mattered more to me than the number beside my name. Money was loud. Purpose was quiet. And purpose had carried me longer. At 4:37 p.m., Jessica finally sent a text. "I am so sorry. I didn't know. I feel sick. Please answer me." I stared at it while the city turned gold outside the window. I could have ignored her. A part of me wanted to. Not because I wanted her to suffer, but because silence had been my shield for so long that setting it down felt dangerous. Then another message came. "I humiliated you. I thought I was better than you. I don't know how to fix this." That line was different. Not perfect. Not enough. But different. I typed slowly. "Come to my apartment tonight. No audience." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "I'll be there." When I reached my building after dark, Jessica was sitting on the steps. For once, she was not holding her phone. That was the first thing I noticed. No camera. No perfect angle. No bright smile ready for strangers. Just my sister, sitting under a weak porch light with a paper bag of Chinese takeout beside her and her face bare from crying. She stood quickly when she saw me. Then she looked at my suit, my heels, the car pulling away from the curb, and something in her face folded. "You look like the woman from the news," she said. "I am the woman from the news." Her mouth trembled. "I don't know what to say." "That didn't stop you last night." She flinched. I had not raised my voice. That made it worse. "I deserved that," she whispered. I walked past her and unlocked the front door. "Come in." My apartment was exactly what she remembered. Small kitchen, Old wooden table. 2 bedrooms. No marble floors. No gold lamps. No wall covered in awards. Jessica stepped inside slowly, as if the room itself confused her. You really live here? Yes. But why? Because I like it. She looked at me like that answer had no place in her world. I set the takeout on the table and pulled out 2 chairs. Sit. She sat. For a while, neither of us opened the food. Outside, a bus passed on the street below. Its brakes sighed at the corner. Jessica looked toward the window, then back at me with fresh tears in her eyes. I made that sound like proof you were nothing. It was proof I was going somewhere. She covered her mouth. I'm sorry. I held up one hand. Don't say it again unless you can tell me what you're sorry for. She lowered her hand. Her eyes were red, but this time she did not look away. I'm sorry for making your life into content, she said. I'm sorry for pretending my cruelty was concern. I'm sorry for needing people to laugh with me so I could feel above you. That landed. Not because it fixed everything. Because it was the first honest thing she had said all day. I opened a container of noodles and slid one toward her. She let out a broken laugh. You're feeding me after what I did? I'm hungry, I said. Don't make it dramatic. She almost smiled, then wiped her face. For a few minutes, we ate in silence. It felt strange. Familiar and new at the same time. When we were kids, Chinese takeout had been our comfort food after bad school days. We would sit on the floor, trade dumplings, and promise we would never become like the adults who turned every room into a contest. Somewhere along the way, Jessica forgot. Maybe I did too. She set down her fork. Did you hide it because of me? I looked at her carefully. Not only you. That hurt her. I saw it. But she nodded. I would have asked for things, she said. Yes. I would have bragged about knowing you. Yes. I would have acted like your success somehow belonged to me. I did not answer. She closed her eyes. That's worse than I thought. It's honest. Jessica looked around the apartment again. So all this time, when we joked about your job. You were joking, I said. I was working. And when I called you unrealistic, I was signing contracts. When I said you should stop pretending, I was preparing to go public. She pressed both hands against her face. Oh my God. I let the silence hold her. Not to punish her. To let truth do what excuses had prevented. Then I reached into my bag and placed a printed page on the table. Jessica looked at it but did not touch it. What is that? A screenshot of your post. Her face went pale. Sarah. I'm not suing you. I'm not sending it to anyone. The world already saw it. Then why keep it? Because this is what happens when family image becomes more important than family love. She swallowed hard. On the page, the photo looked smaller than it had on my phone. Less powerful. Almost pathetic. A tired woman at a bus stop. A sister trying to turn her into a lesson. Jessica touched the edge of the paper. I thought success had a look, she said quietly. The car. The clothes. The house. The photos. I thought if people admired me, that meant I was winning. And did it? She shook her head. No. It made me scared of anyone who didn't need applause. That was the closest she had ever come to naming the real wound between us. Jessica had built a life that needed to be watched. I had built one that could survive silence. The next Sunday, I went to Mom's house for dinner. I took the bus. Not because I wanted to make a point. Because I still liked the ride. The family was already there when I arrived. For once, nobody laughed when I walked in. The dining room had that strange, heavy silence people create when they have rehearsed apologies but do not know who should speak first. Mom stood near the kitchen doorway, twisting a dish towel in her hands. Uncle Robert avoided my eyes. Cousin Mark stared hard at his plate. Aunt Linda smiled too widely, the way guilty people smile when they hope politeness can erase memory. Jessica sat at the far end of the table. No phone beside her. That mattered. I took the empty chair. For a moment, all we heard was the fork in Mom's hand tapping against the serving bowl. Then Uncle Robert cleared his throat. "Sarah, I just want to say, I always knew you had potential." I looked at him. No anger. Just enough silence for him to hear himself. His face reddened. Cousin Mark shifted in his chair. "Yeah, same. I mean, the post thing got out of hand. I didn't mean." "You sent a laughing emoji," Jessica said. Everyone looked at her. She kept her eyes on the table. "And you said harsh but fair." Mark opened his mouth, then closed it. Jessica took a breath. "I started it," she said. "But all of you joined because it felt easy." Sarah was the safe one to look down on. Mom's eyes filled. "Jessica." "No, Mom." Jessica's voice shook, but she stayed with it. "We don't get to make this soft." I posted it. "You liked it." They commented. We all decided her life was small because it didn't look impressive to us. The room went still. For the first time, Jessica was not using attention as a weapon. She was using it to tell the truth. I looked at her, and something tight in my chest loosened. Not fully. But enough. Uncle Robert leaned back, ashamed. Aunt Linda whispered, "I'm sorry, Sarah." I nodded once. Not forgiveness for everything. Not a clean ending tied with ribbon. Just an opening. Mom walked over and placed her hand on my shoulder. "I should have asked more," she said. "I should have seen you better." I reached up and touched her hand. "You can start now." Dinner was quieter than usual. No one asked for money. No one asked for jobs. Maybe they wanted to. Maybe they were finally wise enough not to. After dessert, Jessica followed me to the porch. The night air was cool. Down the street, the same bus line moved under the streetlights. She stood beside me with her arms folded. "I deleted the post," she said. "I know. I also posted an apology." I saw. It wasn't enough. No. She nodded, accepting it. Then she handed me something. A small envelope. Inside was a printed receipt. She had donated a large amount of money to a transportation scholarship fund my company had started for young women entering aviation mechanics and emergency flight operations. I looked at her. "It's not to fix it," she said quickly. "I know it doesn't. I just wanted to put something useful where I put something ugly." For the first time that week, I smiled without effort. That's a start. She looked toward the bus stop. "Can I ask you something?" "You can ask." Why still take the bus when you could take anything? I watched the headlights move closer. Because it reminds me that moving forward doesn't always look impressive from the outside. The bus slowed at the corner. Its doors opened with a soft hiss. Jessica looked at it, then at me. Do you want a ride? I shook my head. I've got one. This time, she did not laugh. She did not take a picture. She just stood there as I walked toward the bus stop, holding my bag the same way I had held it the night she tried to shame me. Only now, the whole family knew what had been inside that quiet life. Work. Discipline. Years of risk. A company that saved lives. A future built without applause. Before I stepped onto the bus, I looked back. Jessica raised one hand. Not for attention. Not for a camera. Just goodbye. And maybe that was the lesson all of us needed. Some people judge the road because they cannot see the destination. Some people mistake humility for failure. And some people spend years laughing at a bus stop, never knowing the person standing there owns the sky above them.